Carrie, if you could take the roll call, please.
Sure. Supervisor Federici?
I'm here.
Councilman Fancher?
Here.
Councilwoman Mattice?
Here.
Councilman Proudman?
Here.
Councilman Smith?
Here.
Carrie Sutton? Here. Jim Cobb?
Here.
Marie Stuber? Diane Williams here. Tyler Lotta?
He said he might not come. He's not feeling well.
Kim Young? Here.
Okay. We can stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What I would like to do is just take things a little bit out of order, not much, from what we normally do in terms of the agenda. I would like to ask Carrie to read the resolution for supporting Operation Green Light for active military service members in transition to civilian life. This is the third year that we've done this. And yeah, it's a symbolic thing, but this isn't the only thing, only group or town that's doing that. I understand it's being done in a number of places. And we've been asked, like everybody else, across New York State municipalities, particularly the smaller ones like us, to pass this resolution, and which is self-explanatory after Carrie reads it. There's a couple of resolutions tonight, so I've given Carrie the opportunity to bow out if her voice starts to fail her.
Hopefully I'll get to it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Supporting Operation Green Light for active military service members in transition to civilian life and veteran status. Whereas the residents of the town of Conesville have great esteem, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all the men and women who have selflessly served their country and this community in the armed forces, and whereas the contributions and sacrifice of men and women that serve in the armed forces have been critical in maintaining the freedoms and the way of life enjoyed by our citizens, and whereas the town of Conesville seeks to honor those persons who have paid the high price for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all, and whereas veterans continue to serve their community in the American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, church groups, civil service, and whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually, and whereas studies indicate that 44% to 72% of service members experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life, and whereas active military service members transitioning from military service are at high risk for suicide during their first year after military service, and whereas the town of Conesville appreciates the sacrifice our United States military personnel made while defending their freedom and believes specific acknowledgement and recognition to be rendered to them in appreciation of their service, and to display honor and support they have earned, therefore be it resolved, with the designation as a green light for military service town, the town of Conesville hereby declares from this date through Veterans Day, November 11, 2023, a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform transitioning from active service. Therefore, be it further resolved that in observation of Operation Green Light, the town of Conesville encourages its citizens in patriotic tradition to acknowledge the significance of honoring those who immeasurable sacrifice help to preserve freedoms by displaying a green light in a window of their place of business or residence.
Thank you. I feel this is something that's certainly worthwhile, and we've discussed this before, but if anybody has anything else that they want to add or in terms of recognition.
I burn 2 green bulbs every night in my house.
2? Are you trying to show us up with 2?
Not really, just the way it worked out.
Okay. No, I think that's really nice. Nobody would see the bulbs at my house, so.
Probably not.
All right, if we could do a roll call vote, please.
Councilman Fancher?
Aye.
Supervisor Federici?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mattice?
Aye.
Councilman Proudman?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
I
Ayes have it. So we will kick this off right now, and we will ask our veteran who serves the town so well. Where's the other one?
Carl.
Oh, I'm looking at you. You gotta let me finish.
Good.
Will you two both go up and do the symbolic pulling of the light switch?
Come on.
Don't look at me.
You guys can do it. I know you can.
Don't fight over who pulls
No, go Carl.
it. And thank you both for your service to your country. All right, now we'll return to what we usually do in terms of the agenda. So you have the September 11th Town Board meeting minutes in front of you, and Carrie has sent them to you, and I also sent with the backup. There's a printed copy here if anybody would like to take a second look at it. Otherwise, I will entertain a motion to accept those minutes or suggest corrections.
I'll entertain, yes, we will accept them.
We have a motion from Mr. Smith.
A second.
We get a second from Gloria. All right, we have a motion from Kelly.
That's better.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. The next thing on the agenda is privilege of the floor. Do we have anybody signed up for it?
We had somebody that was planning on coming in, they're not gonna make it. Fred has it, and then I have something as well.
Go ahead, Fred.
My issue is to
Can
share
you
with,
just speak louder into the mic?
sure. It's to share with my Conesville Road neighbors. There's an issue with our electricity. All of us, everyone from the bottom of the road all the way to my house. It began on September 26th. I had NICEAG up today to confirm it. The voltage coming up the line is 260 and sometimes 160 depending on what you're getting, if you're getting high and low. But they came up today and basically everybody up the entire line has been getting high voltage. They're tracking it down. They think they'll resolve it probably tomorrow. But if you have compressors and things that may have been short cycling, or you had any expensive appliances that might have been acting weird or seeing brown lights or your lights flickering, it's been going on since September 26th and it's happening every day throughout the day, sometimes 15, 20 times a day. My house monitors the grid. So I provided NICEAG a chart of the fluctuations of their voltage, and they came and confirmed everything today by going pole to pole on Conesville Road. And they installed something on September 26th that they think may be the culprit, so they're trying to track it down. But I thought it'd be important to share with people, if you have something that's running on a compressor, short cycling over and over can destroy a compressor.
Yep.
If you have something, and it's been short cycling my geothermal, so that's why I'm noticing these problems, and I thought it was important to share because it's affecting literally every single home. Everybody over here's homes are all getting this high voltage right now. So and sometimes it drops all the way down to 0.3. So it fluctuates all the way up to 260, down to 0.3, 240, 220. It's been all over the map since September 26th. So if you've all noticed anything with your appliances, refrigerators, or anything freaking out, there's an electricity issue going on, just so that you know.
Thank
I wanted
you.
to share that because it was a little concerning.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you. Who else?
Me. Kind of on behalf of the 4-H Club. They just wanted to extend their thanks for the community support and the town board support with the community garden that the kids had built 2 years ago, and their book library and veggie stand that they did this year. I don't know if anybody saw it, but that's over at the country store. They had a great time building it, and they're really excited about helping feed their neighbors and things like that. And although I don't have a specific plan in front of me, there is hope, with the town board's permission, that we would be allowed to extend and add a couple more beds for next summer.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier, and I mean, it's a board decision, but I don't see it's that here. It's not, it'll be adjacent to the ones that are already there,
Yes.
correct?
Yep, it'll still be right in that area. The pumpkins got a little crazy this year and kind of overgrew some of the other veggies, so they're trying to find a way to spread it out just a little bit.
That's what happened to my pumpkins. They're into the tomatoes, into the squash. Anybody have any thoughts?
Plenty of room there.
It's for a good cause.
That's great.
Somebody want to make a motion agreeing to the, okay, Bob makes a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Carl. All those in favor of letting them add a couple of more, or several more, raised beds, I guess we'll call them? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. That's it?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Assessors report.
Okay. Dear Town Board, in September, the board made a motion to support the assessor's office in the effort to complete the 100% reevaluation for the town of Conesville. Thank you for your support. That motion is what the state will need to have in order for the town to file for the financial support that's offered for 100% reevaluation. We are currently reviewing sales to determine what changes need to be made. The residential parcels will be reviewed to bring the values of the parcels to the current market value. Some may not even see a change. Our next meeting with the state is in November to go over the findings. It will be open on Tuesdays in the office again on November 7th. Anyone wanting to apply for exemptions that previously did not have them may apply anytime with me for the following 2024 year. The deadline for those applications is March 1st, 2024. Any new owners that wish to apply for a basic star or enhanced star, 65 or older, must contact the state, and she gives the phone number 518-457-2036, or apply on their website www.tax.ny.gov/star. Very super.
Thank you. Entertain a motion to accept the assessor's report.
I'll make it.
Kelly makes it. Second. We have a second from Bob. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Code enforcement report.
It was just an average month, a couple of certificate of occupancies and 2 property searches and final inspections and code inspections, some unsafe building, and 1 stop work order. So
Is that the one we talked about?
this morning?
No, yeah.
Yeah, no, that didn't make this one, so,
Okay.
yeah. All right.
Thank you. Motion to accept the code enforcement officer's report.
I'll make a motion.
Carl makes the motion.
A second.
Second by Lori. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Town clerk's report.
1 marriage license, 3 dog licenses.
Busy month. Somebody wants to accept that copious report.
I will.
He makes it, I'll accept Bob saying he seconds it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Okay. Town collector's report. Well, I'm giving you the opportunity.
I will
You
take
can
it.
say no,
I
thank
don't have anything.
you. Okay, but I didn't think so.
Pretty quiet.
Very quiet. Quiet is good. Sewer district operators report.
All right, average daily flow rate for the month of September was 2,594 gallons a day. The heating system is still shut down. No leaks noted. The propane level's at 45%. Kinsley Power Group was on site to perform the repairs, finally, to the backup generator at the main pump station. The repairs were completed and the genset is online. We will continue to monitor the generator for any leaks. They're still doing the tank inspections. Any questions, reach out to Travis.
Okay, thank you. Motion to accept the sewer district operators report.
I'll make a motion.
Lori makes the motion.
I'll second it.
Second by Carl. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Historian report.
Hi. All right, since last meeting, I brought a bunch of people to Dingmanville. We had a lecture early in one Saturday morning, and then we traveled into county land, and there's very exciting talk about going back into that land to maybe look at a few objects closer up, and I've been having a conversation with Bill about that. So people from outside of town even came on that hike, which was very exciting. And I would say that we have a letter that came in this week or last week from the owner of the old schoolhouse, Kate Mattice's house, giving us permission to put up a marker there. So the window for the William G. Pomeroy Foundation application begins at the end of this month. So we're pulling everything together with the Historical Society to hopefully get funding for that marker, as well as the church that I previously talked about.
Excellent news. Good. Okay, motion to accept the historian's report.
I'll make a motion.
Lori makes the motion. Kelly was a little quicker. So Kelly seconds it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Highway Super's report.
Okay, so we said that they filled the sand and salt sheds for the winter. They began mowing the shoulders and brush back again for the third time this summer. They opened up multiple culvert pipes across town after the heavy rains. Finished the chip sealing on Poles, Durham, Bush, and East Conesville Road. Small maintenance work on dump trucks and service body. They're finishing up work on plows before being installed for the winter, and then they cut and chip brush in spots across town. Any questions, reach out to Tyler.
Thank you. Motion to accept the highway superintendent's report.
I'll make it.
Bob makes the motion.
I'll second.
Carl seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. All right. County report. I was going to focus more than anything else on migrants. And that's the term that's officially used, so we're going to stick with that. But you may or may not recall that New York City was upset at the 31 counties, including ours, that passed the emergency, the state of emergency, then issued emergency orders regarding the migrants. And the gist of it is nothing against them or who they are or where they came from. It's just a simple matter of finances. We don't have the room, we don't have the housing stock, and we certainly don't have the dollars, even on a promise to getting paid by New York State, which is frankly laughable. So they sued or took to court those 31 counties, including ours, and their chief executive officer, including me, for Schoharie County. And they threatened to take us to court, and they filed for us all to go down to Manhattan because that's where they wanted to have the case. And the New York State Association of Counties hooked us up with almost all the other counties, except maybe the real big ones. Hooked us up with a great attorney, Sokoloff Law Firm. You've probably seen them on television, but they really are good. And they filed a counter argument with the judge stating that if there's anything being violated as they claim it is, and their claims are dubious, but it never got that far, they'll have to file them in each individual county court, because that's where the alleged violations are taking place. I don't know what happened in their own conferences and with their attorneys, but they withdrew their suit against the counties and the executives of the counties. So, long story short, we're not being sued. I'm not being sued anymore. That doesn't mean we have a victory. Yeah, it's a victory, but this is not over because they'll still be looking for opportunities. They've already been fishing, and they contacted the investor that's doing a fantastic job, by the way, with the old Best Western up in the hill there in Cobleskill, and said, we'll give you financing to get this done faster. It's about a $5 million project. And as long as you agree to rent out every room for buku money, once you get it. And to his credit, the gentleman that's the investor said, no, I'm not going to do that. We've got a wonderful banquet hall here. I want this to be a place for people in town to come, or in the whole county, for events, weddings, things like that. And this is what he does down in Westchester County now, 600-person venue. So he doesn't want to get involved in that. Even if he did, the emergency orders that I copied from a lot of other sources prohibit anybody from doing that without the permission of the county, where we'll be assured that the county is going to have proof that the county is not going to be caught short of any expenses. But they're calling around trying to do that in other counties, what I'm hearing from my peers in other places. So they're still working it, and they may still come after us, or now they're trying this new scheme with vouchers. They're giving these folks vouchers. You can go to Bob's Hotel and offer him a voucher that says that they'll reimburse the holder of that voucher once it's turned in X amount of dollars for the rooms that this person stays in, or persons.
Yeah, but then, for how long? And then people are homeless.
Thank you. By the way, all right, I've got a place to stay for 6 weeks. Oh, I've got to go to the doctor though. I've got this terrible case of tuberculosis, which by the way is out there. It's out there. And again, it's not a function of they're bad people. It's a function of where they came from. A lot of those things are just non-existent. So anyway, that's it. This is not to be, this is to be continued. I, as well as everybody I've spoken to in the other counties, are still by law renewing the emergency, state of emergency declaration every 30 days, and every 5 days renewing the emergency orders, which goes into detail as to how we're going to enforce it. And that's been in place, and only takes me 10 minutes to put it together and get it out to the county's website. So I will continue to do that, because we need to just protect ourselves.
Yeah, it's a sad situation.
Yeah, it is. It is. All around. Just as an offshoot of that, or I guess it's somewhat the Best Western Motel. A lot of people don't really care that much down this way, and I understand that, but it will bring in a heck of a lot of sales tax that we get a piece of here in Conesville, and it'll also bring in occupancy tax, which is good to promote that type of business, even people in our town who have some kind of interest in tourism. Making great progress. There is a problem, you may have read it in the paper. 3 times now, people have broken into the construction site. It's disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful. But then again, that was a regular den for people to go to before the county foreclosed. And the damage there is spectacular. I took a tour of the place. Every window's broken. All the heating and cooling units have either been removed or smashed. Why anybody who's looking for a place to get out of the cold, smoke dope, but why would they break the damn windows? For no reason at all. It just makes no sense, but they did. But anyway, he's had 3 break-ins in about 2.5 months, and there's no effective police department right now in the village of Conesville. They're down to a staff of 1 police chief. As they say, well, chiefs, no Indians, but maybe that was politically too bad. Anyway, long story short, it's a struggle. We're trying to help him out as much as we can. He's finally got his electricity. He needed to get his gas hooked up, and NICEC put him through the mill. And I have a great contact at the executive offices which I've done for people here in Conesville, but I got a hold of them, and like within a week, he had all his natural gas. NICEC does natural gas in Conesville, and he's happy as a clam. And if you ever get that problem again, and you feel you're getting jerked around,
They were great.
Okay,
They came
well,
right over.
then you lucked out, because sometimes that's not always the case.
Yeah.
This contact works in the executive branch, and she's helped us out at least 15 times here in Conesville in the last 10 years.
They said normally they wouldn't come out, but because I had the full voltage chart, it was as if an electrician did come out and checked it. So they were at my house within an hour of calling them this morning, and then they realized all of Conesville Road is affected.
Okay, well, thank you again for that. I guess that's all I have with the county. There's a lot of ongoing stuff, but this is a board meeting for town of Conesville. Take a motion to accept the supervisor's county report.
I'll make a motion.
We have it from Lori, second from Kelly. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? So carried. Okay, here's another resolution, Carrie. Let me just tee it up. I heard about this about, 3 weeks ago. You guys probably know Jurgen and Jane, I know you do. Jurgen and Jane Brown over on South Mountain Road. I think it's 32 acres. Yeah, 32 acres, borders their property on the north side of South Mountain Road. And they were the original owners of it. And it's an odd-shaped property. There's like a 2,000, well, something like that, 2,000-foot, 50-foot right-of-way for somebody to go back to the square part of it. It's the side of a hill, and it borders their northern boundary. And they are, and I've noticed it once from the road, I said, who's out, sitting on that stone wall? But I kept going, I figured they were on top of that. But they're having people come in, sit on that wall, which is less than 500 feet, the required 500 feet from the DEC for people to hunt from occupied dwellings. So they've asked, and we've done something like this before, if you remember, I think it was last year for somebody else. They were asking if there was some way we can get the DEC, I'm sorry, the DEP to not close it off to the public, but prohibit hunting on that property. They're scared, and I don't blame them. And one, I didn't see it, but he said 1 or 2 times they've had people actually even walking around that border of the property on their land. So I spoke to a gentleman that I spoke to once before, on the one I told you about before, and he said it's the DEP's policy to not just do it because somebody asked for it. We want to see a resolution from the town saying that they support that. And I don't blame them. In other words, they don't want to get into an argument with the town. If the town agrees with it, they'll go for it. So that's where we are here. I've got a resolution to, we'll need to, if I could have that before we go home.
Yeah.
Or you, like, we're gonna get together tomorrow. You can give it to me tomorrow if
Okay.
you'd like. So you don't mind reading it because I'm going dry here.
Resolution affirming property owner request to New York City Department of Environmental Conservation to close hunting access. Really quick, is this supposed to be conservation, or is that supposed to be DEP or DEC in the title?
All right, thank you.
Okay.
You're right. Too many DEs.
Close hunting access adjacent to 915 South Mountain Road in the town of Conesville. Whereas the residents of Jurgen and Jane Byrne, 915 South Mountain Road in the town of Conesville in Schoharie County shares a contiguous property line with the New York City Department of Environmental Conservation. And whereas DEP-owned lands comprise 32.02 acres on the north side of South Mountain Road immediately adjacent to the Byrne residence, do not lend themselves to hunting by nature of their proximity to the Byrne residence. Whereas Mr. and Mrs. Byrne have experienced hunter activity.
Actively hunting.
Hunters actively hunting within 500 feet of their residence, causing concern for their safety. And whereas the DEP requested the consent of the Conesville Town Council to Mr. and Mrs. Byrne's request to close 32.02 acres of DEP land adjacent to their residence, therefore be it resolved that the Conesville Town Council affirms its concurrence that the DEP will close the stated 32.02 acres to hunting.
Comments? Oh, okay. I introduced it, but we need somebody to second it.
I'll second it.
Bob seconds it. Any further discussion before we do a roll call? Okay.
Councilman Fancher,
Aye.
Supervisor Federici,
Aye.
Councilwoman Mattice,
Aye.
Councilman Proudman,
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Thank you. I'll give you a corrected one tomorrow. Okay, next thing is the star question that we had last time, and there's a lot of confusion with this, and it's understandable. And, the concern was that the star credit was not shown on the property tax bills. Turns out they weren't shown on any of them, I think, at least not for the senior.
School tax bill.
Yeah. Right.
School tax, not property.
School, well, it is a property tax though. School property. All right, I got you. Thank you. But anyway, and we followed up to town assessor, Bree Stuber, and she confirmed what I thought I knew, but I didn't want to say it because she knows better than I. Some of us may or may not recall that the state took this over. Why, I don't know, but they took it over several years ago, 2 or 3, and now it is taking the local assessor out of the loop. You don't go to him or her and say, I want to sign up for this. You have to go on the state's website, and you have to sign, which is kind of tough for some maybe people that aren't really good with the internet. They have to get somebody to do it with them. And we've helped people with that in the past that needed help. But it still falls on the landowner, property owner to do that. And since we had this discussion last month, the 2 persons that said, yeah, one person that brought it up, and another person said, yeah, I haven't got mine either. And I kept to myself because I haven't got mine either. So, but subsequently, they have received a check. I don't know if they're happy with the amount, but they've received a check.
Not up to us.
No, not up to us. So right now, at this point, I only know one person that hasn't gotten their check. That's yours truly. So I have to get around to find out what that's all about. So anyway, that ends up with sort of a happy ending. Next thing is our annual fiscal stress report. Some of you haven't heard about that before, probably thinking, what the hell is that? This is something the state does for all municipalities, counties, and school districts. It is an assessment of where they are in terms of 2 things. What they call the environmental stress, which is an indication of things that could be a problem in the future or are a problem. And some of it is things like how much state aid state and federal aid you receive, and or any population changes, and everybody's population has gone down, at least in our county. I think some village went up 1. Everybody else has had, one village had like a 18% drop in population. And the other one is the stress level. In our case, we have no designation because we're really in good shape. I mean, some of the things that they looked at was our fund balances, no concerns, 0. Fund balance, and this is, the higher the score, the worse you are. So you want a 0 on this. Your operating deficit, cash ratios, cash percentage of monthly, short-term cash flat. The only thing that they didn't like was that and it's all explainable, and that's why they give you a lot of leeway. The last couple of years, we spent more than we took in, and that was deliberate because we had, particularly in the highway department, we had significant money sitting in the bank that we didn't spend, and I'm not going to get into why, the former highway super and all that, but it wasn't spent, so we had a significant balance. So we spent more. We were really going to just keep it in the bank. We'll use it. We already collected it from people or from the state. So anyway, very happy with our designation for the the stress. But there's also the environmental report too, which talks about how we are, and they gigged us. We still no designation because we're really in good shape. You have to have a score of at least 30 to be susceptible, and significant is like 50. Our score was 20, and one of the biggest gigs are state and financial aid, which I've said this before, and some of my peers say the same thing. It's laughable because they encourage you to go out and look for money. Even the CHIPS money that we get for highway, that's considered when you're getting aid from the state. So to me, I mean, they're gigging you on taking the money, but they're encouraging you to take it. So it's hard to take that one seriously. But I'm very pleased with it. We continue to do well. And we haven't had a designation in they track it by a 3-year comparison. And we're really doing good. So I'm happy with that. I don't think there's necessarily a report that you have to make a motion to accept. It's just commenting on what the state did. Tomorrow night is the annual budget workshop. And what we'll do is, as we've done, I don't know, for the last 8, 9, 10 years that I've been here, what we'll do is we'll go over the tentative budget, which was sent out to you guys, and which also was put on the website and advertised in the paper. And the purpose of this is for us to go through the tentative budget and discuss what's behind it and make any changes that this board collectively would like to make to it. That's not the final say. And the public was invited and encouraged to come and see how this process works. And they will have their opportunity when we do the public hearing of the preliminary budget, which will come out of tomorrow night's meeting and discussion. So, anybody who's here and is interested, please come. Listen in, see what you're thinking. Okay. You folks have the August 2023 budget statement. I think I sent that to you over the weekend. And I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it. I did give you short notice, I admit that. I have a printed copy here if you want to look at it further. But I can say no surprises, no real surprises. Well, the silence is deafening. Does anybody want to make?
I'll make a motion.
So you've seen this before I even saw it, so.
True.
Okay, we have a motion from Kelly to accept it.
A second.
Second from Lori. All those in favor?
Aye.
Or any opposed? Carried. Now, in conjunction with that, there's something I think is important to do. The question came up at last month's meeting during privilege of the floor about how we do our chips. And I responded to the person that raised the question about why the amount of dollars in a certain line item called capital outlay was less than the CHIPS revenue. And as I said I would, I took a little while because I wanted to make sure it was correct, but I'm going to read that. And the reason I'm going to read it, even though that person's not here, is the people that were here, I think, are deserving of an answer because it was referred to as a discrepancy, which it is not. Okay. This is following up on your question about whether the town needs to have the same budgeted amount for capital outlay on budget line D5112.2 and CHIPS revenue on budget line DA3501. You don't have to worry about the numbers. A review confirmed that though some towns' budgets match the two lines, there is no requirement to do so. Reimbursements by the state under CHIPS and the other similar programs that are administered by the New York State DOT are not strictly for work that would fall under the specific expense budget line you questioned. As an example, it is possible to submit for reimbursement several other expenses, including but not limited to purchases of trucks and equipment, tools, lease payments on trucks and equipment, bond anticipation note principal, culvert materials and installation, pothole repairs, extreme winter damage repairs, and labor. Also, for your information, the independent annual update performed by a third party and submitted to the state has not questioned our budgeting practices in this area. Additionally, a New York State Controller's, and I'll give you a copy of this if you want, Carrie. Additionally, a New York State Controller's Office audit of the town's budgeting practices did not disagree or call into question your concern. Thank you for your interest. Subsequently to that, I've also spoken to multiple other highway departments, spoken to a county highway department, and the concern that was lodged the other day, or last month, is unfounded. So then just an additional comment was that I understand you got prior authorization to do this from the New York State DOT. And my answer was, DOT does not provide prior authorization. The town, village, or county submits the expenses for reimbursement, and the DOT pays or questions the expense, which in our case, they never have. The CHIPS allocation for Conesville from the state this year is $135,877, which is below the budgeted $142,000 for capital outlay, which covers your concern that there be enough for submission to the DOT. The remainder of the budgeted CHIPS revenue falls under other programs I mentioned, but are budgeted and credited to the CHIPS revenue line because the state has not provided another line. These include $29,978 for paved New York, $48,888 for extreme weather or winter repairs, and $19,986 for POP, or pave our potholes. So, I mean, it's just things have changed a great deal over the years as to how this is, but the person is still questioning me why. He said, of course we need approval from the state on anything that we put in for prior approval. It's only logical. I don't know what's logical or not, but I know what the state says we can and can't do, and I've exhausted comments and discussion on this subject. There's nothing to add. Okay. Moving along. Budget amendments. Not too many this month. A couple big ones, but not that many this month. Just as a summary, well, we were just talking about budget lines or accounting codes, and I've never had this much discussion with anybody in the town about the accounting of how we do things, but it's a valid question. We used to get $3,512, we still do, $3,512 a year from the state aid. It's called a revenue sharing. Hasn't changed in 10 years, but we get it. And it used to go to a certain line. Now the state sent something out saying they want it on another line. No big deal, but we just have to change the budget that it's going over that way. Going over to highway. We did receive a bill from Gorman for all the work they did. And I think they did a great job. One thing we'll be frank about, Tyler, myself, and a lot of people are not happy with the amount of dust that was in the gravel. And we're addressing that. I mean, it's a little late now, but generally speaking, that stuff is supposed to be washed better than that, and it wasn't. Matter of fact, we rejected a load of it prior to, and they replaced it, and I guess it wasn't as dusty, but anyway, there's $178,000 is the bill. So we're going to, and by the way, this is another thing with the highway budgets in particular. You can predict down to the dollar as to what it will cost for winter repairs or labor, or how much snow we're going to get, and how much sand and salt we're going to need. Your talents are being wasted. You need to be somewhere, it's working the market if you're going to, because it's a crapshoot, Bill. Steve, you always had, you were guessing before the season started.
Right on the dime.
Why did I know you were going to say that? But it is tough, and I don't envy. And the most important thing is you better have enough money in your budget at the end of the year to move or swizzle things around. So our capital outlay and general repairs are almost interchangeable. So we're moving, and I spoke to Tyler about it. No money is being cut out of the budget at all. It's still the same, and we're in good shape. But we're going to decrease that from $140,000 to $110,000 to pay and put it in capital outlay, which is more accurate. And we're going to take $6,000 from machine, gas, and oil, and drop that down to $74,000. And right now, I think it was at the end of September, it was around $49,000. So we're in good shape with that. I mean, we even have more room if we need to move it somewhere. And tell me what it's going to be at the end of the year then. I need to know.
We're on the numbers to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Can we get documentation on that, Steve? You can.
I knew I set myself up the second I said it. Thank you. Okay. Any questions, comments, motions?
Roll call.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Supervisor
That's
Perry?
my suggestion.
I need to make a, no, go ahead.
Supervisor Federici?
Aye.
Councilman Patrick?
Aye.
Councilwoman Mattice?
Aye.
Councilman Crodman?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Carried. All right, one more resolution. But this is, I know. Sure you did, Lauren. All right, you up to reading this one? I just want to
Can I
do.
tag out on this one?
No, this isn't that bad. Just to give you a little preamble to this. I don't know if the governor's going to support this or not, but there is a bill that was passed in the Senate, and subsequently, it says in here, is on its way to the Assembly. I understand that it's going to be passed. And it will go to the governor by the end of the year for her signature if she chooses to do so. What this entails is taking away local responsibility for hiring through election our judge, which is, by the way, mentioned in the New York State Constitution. What they want to do, and this is where they're starting it, is that the 200 or the 100 largest town and village courts will have to have a judge who is licensed to practice law in the state and to have been admitted to the bar for at least 5 years. That's never going to work here or anywhere else. That sounds good, but the whole concept, according to the discussions at the time when this went into the Constitution, was to bring this be the court of the people. And I just think it's another outrage by the state trying to usurp home rule, which is guaranteed to us under the Constitution. Because you get a town like Conesville or a town like Middleburg, where are you going to get an attorney that will be willing to do that? Especially, it's a part-time job, a very part-time job, for the kind of money that we're paying. So I really like this one. I took this from the town of Richmondville. I added or subtracted a couple things from it, and I'll ask Carrie to read it to us if she would, please.
Okay. Town of Conesville in opposition to New York State Senate Bill S. 00139B and Assembly Bill A. 13583. It's offered by Supervisor Federici and seconded by Councilman Smith. Whereas the New York Senate Bill number S. 00139B has passed, which if adopted by the Assembly and signed by the governor would require all judges presiding in the 100 largest towns and village courts to be licensed to practice law in the state and to have been admitted to the New York State Bar for at least 5 years. And whereas the town and village courts in Schoharie County are among the nearly 1,200 justice courts in the state of New York that collectively handle close to 1 million cases a year. And whereas the town and village courts are known as courts closest to the people and have broad jurisdiction presiding over the civil and criminal matters, thereby performing a vital role in New York State's unified court system. And whereas the town court of Conesville is a vital service to our residents and the Schoharie County community as a whole, whereas the justices in Schoharie County's town and village courts have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality and render equal justice to all while continually adhering to judicial rules of ethics and pronouncements of the New York State Commission on the Judicial Conduct. Whereas the justices are required to be on call 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to review and sign arrest and search warrants, perform arraignments, and issue orders of protection. And whereas the justice of the town and village courts ensure that the rights afforded to the defendants by the Constitution of the United States and the state of New York are provided and protected. And whereas the justices of the town and village courts preside over trials involving misdemeanors and violation level offenses, therefore ensuring that the victims of those offenses can be heard. And whereas the town and village courts provide a venue for the citizens to pursue a low-cost and efficient procedure for individuals to resolve civil disputes and landowner-tenant matters. And whereas the justice preside nightly and weekly and holiday mornings at the Schoharie County Arraignment Part conducted in the county jail that ensure the arrested citizens are promptly afforded legal representation, the opportunity to plead to alleged charges, and be processed for release, bail, or incarceration. And whereas the justices continually strive to improve the administration of justice through participation in mandatory education programs, seminars, meetings of the Schoharie County Magistrate Association, the New York State Magistrate Association, and whereas the New York State Office of Court Administration must clarify or certify all as having successfully completed mandatory training, both following elections and in each subsequent year. And whereas the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct's most recent annual report, 2022, identified that only 13% of complaints filed under the judiciary were against the town and village judges, while the remaining complaints were against either state-paid judges, constituting approximately 40% of the judiciary, who accounted for approximately 67% of the complaints, and received or against non-judicial entities 20%. And whereas this bill attempts to usurp the rights of the voters to elect those in their communities that they believe to be fair and impartial and who would best serve the community, whether they be attorneys or non-attorneys. And whereas this bill implicitly suggests that members of the community are incapable of making informed decisions about who should sit in judgment of matters of the straightforward to the highly complex and may arise in their local courts. Whereas this legislative body views the intentions of the bill is not actually to improve the courts, but a blatant and unconscionable, thank you, attempt by the New York State Bar Association, an organization that represents approximately only 15% of the state's attorneys, to generate increased opportunities for members to dictate to who voters may choose to serve in their local governments. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Conesville strongly and in unequivocal terms calls on both the leadership of the state, or the Senate and the Assembly, and the governor to reject this poorly conceived and hastily fashioned seizure of voters' rights to determine for themselves who they would choose to sit as their judges, and has been the case for almost 200 years.
Thank you, that was a long one. And sounds like it was written by a lawyer. Anyway, and this is more of a send it on to the governor and urging her to sign it. I think there's going to be a lot of that. So we'll need a roll call vote if there's no further discussion.
May I ask a question?
No. Roll call vote.
Supervisor Federici,
Yes.
Councilman Fancher,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mattias,
Yes.
Councilman Proudman,
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
You can ask me after the meeting. Okay. Couchman House update. We've installed a new pump, ran a new line to the house from the pump. The old pump was in the house. It was a jet pump, I think you may recall me saying last month. We ran we put a submersible in, which is much more powerful, much more better. At least that's my experience with a jet pump that I had in my old house. Anyway, and there's a new tank in there. Everything is good. Now we have to charge the lines, which we can't do in the rest of the house because of sitting there for 6 years. And there was no, the pipes were not properly emptied. So being the case, as soon as I hit that switch, water was coming every direction. But somebody here in town who has a lot of experience with that has offered to work with us on fixing it. And most of the times it's in the joints more than anywhere else. So, and there isn't extensive lines in the house. From there, it goes almost directly upstairs, hits a bathroom, and then goes to another bathroom just above that, so that's a straight drop down. And there's one line running into the kitchen. So, I don't know about the old hot tub, how they handled that. There's, how they got water there. I hope that's capped off, or it should be capped off. I don't know. We'll find out. So, the person who volunteered, I guess I don't want to mention his name because he's not here, but felt that it was something that we can address. It's not going to be 1, 2, 3, but we can address that rapidly. And really doesn't matter, because until we do the HVAC, you don't want to charge the line. The house is going to be cold. So I'm happy about that. The front porch needed a couple new boards. They were rotting away, or sort of curling up, and they need to be replaced. So Skeeter did that. And we also cut a couple small trees out of the way and piled them up, and you know, and we'll pay them, of course, but the town is going to come and take away a lot of that brush. We have a spot where we put other brush that we cut, and we are going to make them, they're small trees, they're not that old, maybe they're not yay big, but we're going to leave stumps there, and they're going to yank them out of the ground rather than cut them and then have suckers come up every year that we have to address. So we're moving along on that.
There's also one right under the power line that looks like the power company has cut everything on one side of it. That looks pretty bad. Probably ought to come down.
Okay.
Pine trees.
Yeah, in those trees, there's that one right there under the power line. Obviously, somebody has worked on it at one point.
Yeah.
And that probably ought to just come down and never have to be an issue for the power line.
And I located where the septic tank was. You probably knew. No, you didn't. Okay.
No.
You didn't need to know.
At 16, I didn't know.
You flush, it's gone.
As long as it didn't stay in that house.
Yeah, exactly. But I did locate where it was, because I was concerned they wanted to park cars on that side lot where your stable was,
Yeah.
or where the corral was, or whatever. I said, no, you can't do that. Those are the fields. No, they're not the fields. So it's on the other side of the
Other
house.
side?
Yeah, and the fields run towards the road between there. It's almost parallel with where the electric meter is, but away from the house, it's not on top of it. But the tank is there, and the fields run towards the road.
On the north side, you?
West.
On the west side?
Yeah, the west side of the house. The well, it's a good thing, because the well is on the north side of the house. So, anyway, you're learning more as we go. And the knowledge there didn't cost us a dime, so I'm happy with that.
Even better.
Yeah. Okay. That's the extent of what I have. Does anybody have anything they would like to bring up? Yeah, Bloomville, they have every right to say they don't want to do this anymore, but it would have been nice if they did it in a more consumer-friendly fashion, and town is a consumer of their services. I mean, they've done a nice job for the town, and I imagine they've done a nice job for people here. A lot of folks had them. Is anybody, I forget the name, or they mentioned it here, who's going to be doing it, but has anybody had any experience with a new contractor? Oh.
They've picked up for the last month, that's all I can tell you.
Oh, you have them, the new
Yeah.
guy? Yeah, and somebody at recycling was telling me that they're happy with him too, which is all good. I'm glad they at least took the time to say, can you take this over, instead of leaving us in the lurch. So, yeah, that could have been done better.
They're coming a long ways.
What's that?
They're coming a long ways, I think they're,
Sydney.
yeah.
They may have set up a shop here or something
Yeah.
like that, I don't know. But, you know, he can turn over who he wants, sell his business to, and we can decide whether we want to use them or not.
Yeah.
It's all, it's called free markets. Anybody else have anything? All right. Don't forget, 7 o'clock tomorrow night, budget workshop. Don't look at me that way.
Only 24 hours.
In that case, we'll take a motion to review the invoices.
I'll make that.
Okay. Second from Carl. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Is anybody here going to have any other business that they want to bring up when we're done? I'll always ask the question because people are welcome to stay, but I don't want them to hang around if there's not going to be anything noteworthy. They can, I mean, I don't want to force them to happen.
Gotta be something on TV about it. Something.